Hey, welcome back to another edition of 60 Super Bowls in 60 days. And ladies and gentlemen, this is my favorite Super Bowl of all time. I know we're going to have some modern Super Bowls that's going to be my favorite, but I believe this is going to be my truly favorite Super Bowl of all time. And welcome everybody to probably the most goated Super Bowl in the history of all Super Bowls. And why do I have to say this is the goated Super Bowl ever? Well, they were so much Hall of Famers in this Super Bowl between two of the most legendary, iconic teams in the history of the NFL. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys clashed in Super Bowl 13, January 21, 1979, in the Miami Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. And my goodness, this was absolute cinema from beginning to the end. We got Chuck Noll versus Tom Landry. That's Hall of Fame already. We got the quarterbacks who are Hall of Fame. We got the rushers that Hall of Fame. We got receivers that are Hall of Fame. Even the defense was Hall of Fame. And even the owners are Hall of Fame. Hall of Famers all across the board, from left, right, and center. Even Hall of Fame broadcasters like the late great Dick Enberg and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, this was a Hall of Fame Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. This was the most golden Super Bowl ever, and it lived up to that building. The Steelers won their third Super Bowl, cemented their team as the best team of the 70s with a 35-31 win over the Dallas Cowboys. Why do I mention 35-31 as a big score line, and why does it matter? Well, we'll get to that later. For now, the quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Terry Bradshaw, MVP, 17 of 30 for 318 yards for 4 touchdowns and a reception. Roger Staubach for the Dallas Cowboys, also a Hall of Famer. 17 of 30, same as Bradshaw, 228 yards, 3 touchdowns and interceptions. 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions within these guys, and more than 500 yards of offense. Like, these guys cooked. Like, these guys really cooked. And let's be honest, like, football today is more of offensive passing and long balls and all kinds of stuff with rules and everything coming like that. This was two players just slinging the ball out and putting on a show. It was an absolute show to the tune of 66 points. Amazing, absolutely amazing. But they're not alone. They're not alone with the scoring. Franco Harris, another Hall of Famer, rest in peace. 20 of 68, 20 carries for 68 yards at 3.4 pop. We may not see these numbers again in the modern era of NFL. Tony Dorsett, 16 of 96 for 6 yards apart. Also Hall of Famer. Amazing. Now for the receivers. Lynn Swann, Hall of Famer. Hits for 7 of 124 for 17.71 a pop and a touchdown. And I think he made an incredible catch. I think one of the most incredible catches. Like, yes, we all know the Lynn Swann diving catch in Super Bowl 10. But he made a really diving catch, of course. Snatched that thing out of the really dark cloud, really dark, like a clear day, of course, in Miami. But he caught that pretty much in the air on the dark moon. It was so accurate. It's so beautiful from Bradshaw, and then Lynn Swann with an incredible catch. I think it was his catch. I think he and John Stallworth. I don't see the tape, but that catch was incredible. I mean, Super Bowl 10 catch was incredible and iconic, but that Super Bowl 13 catch, brilliant. John Stallworth, a tight end, 3 for 115, 38.33 pop. He was not bad. 2 touchdowns, of course. Rocky Bleiber, 1 for 7 for a touchdown, of course. And, of course, the Dallas offense also contributed. 5 for 44 for 20 Dorsett at 8.8 a pop. Hall of Famer. Billy Joe Dupree, 2 for 17, 80.5 yards a pop with a touchdown. And Tony Hill, 2 for 49, 24.5 touchdowns. Actually, no. 2 catches for 49 yards for 24.5 a pop and a touchdown. Now you're thinking to yourself, Akeem, my God, what a game between the offense. And what a game. We're going to get to the defense, of course. The defense did some parts, of course. The defense did their part. It's not like the game was a back and forth slugfest like Rams Chiefs 2018, of course. It was on a slugfest, but these offenses put in a masterclass of a show. It was a masterclass of an incredible show with so many great quality dripping in, except for one. Now, you notice that the scoreline ended 35-31. And that score is significant because, sadly, of one guy. And it's not Butch Johnson who made 2 for 30, 15 yards a pop and a touchdown. He did contribute. It's Jackie Smith. Boy, oh boy, dear Jackie Smith. He is, I mean, God rest his soul. He must be in pain right now. Pain at that day. So Dallas was driving in the yard. Roger Staubach threw a pretty pass. It was wide open for him. Jackie Smith was wide open in the end zone. It was supposed to be a touchdown, easiest touchdown of his life. He caught so many passes during his day with Arizona. Of course, he played for a couple of times in Dallas. He's getting old, I guess, but you just needed a helping hand in a matchup like this, and you need big time players to make big time plays. We saw Swan make big time play, Stalwart, Dorsett, Hill, big contributors for some of the best players, and for Jackie Smith to drop that ball and the reaction to that, he was flailing, he was frustrated, it was brutal. And Dallas decided to settle for a field goal. So why was that important? The game was 35-28 in favor of Pittsburgh. Without that touchdown, this game could have been 35-35, and we couldn't have the very first overtime in Super Bowl history. Instead, we get this sad scoreline. We get this incredible but sad scoreline. And unfortunately for Jackie Smith, it will haunt him forever. Yeah, it just happens. It just happens, man. Anyways, let's talk about the defense. Mel Blount, Hall of Famer, interception, 2 tackles. L.C. Greenwood, Steve Furness, John Banaski, Joe Green, Hall of Famer, Dwight White all have a sack. Jack Ham for 8 tackles. John Banazak with a fumble recovery. Joe Green with a forced fumble. Dirk Winston with a fumble recovery. Tony Dungy, y'all know Tony Dungy, broadcaster for NBC, of course, with football, and a former coach with the Colts, the Vikings, and of course the Buccaneers. But that'll be later on, of course. He made a forced fumble. I didn't realize he was playing that game, but here we are. Like I said, Hall of Famer, coach and player-wise. D.D. Lewis for Dallas with an interception and tackle. Harvey Martin, Mike Hangman, Thomas Henderson, Randy White, all contributed with a sack. Mike Henman with a fumble recovery that returned for 37 yards for a touchdown. I mean, that was impressive. Thomas Henderson with a forced fumble. Aaron Cobb with 6 tackles. Too Tall Jones with 5 tackles and a fumble recovery. And Tom Rafferty with a fumble recovery. Even the defense contributed. Even the defense. And yes, we got Joe Green in there, Hall of Famer. Tony Dungy, Hall of Famer with coaching, of course, but Hall of Famer as a player in some cases. Jack Ham is probably a Hall of Famer. Mel Blount is a Hall of Famer. Like I said, there were Hall of Famers. And there are some, did not get recognition, but there are some Hall of Famers in this thing, which I said it again, this is the most GOATed Super Bowl in the history of all Super Bowls. You will never see a football game with so many Hall of Famers up and down the board all around ever again. Ever. That is amazing. And to this day, it's still the most incredible Super Bowl I ever watched. Or talked about and watched in highlight form. Till we all become sands of time, of course. Kicking, Roy Guerrilla, 5 for 5, 0 for 1 on field goals. Rafael Spieta, 4 for 4, 1 for 1 on field goals. Pittsburgh 357 to 330 on the yardage advantage. Both guys have 3 turnovers, Pittsburgh and Dallas, but it doesn't matter. Great game. Beautiful to watch. If you have the time to do it, if you have let's say 3 hours to kill, go watch this matchup. Go watch some Hall of Famers slinging it out. Go watch some running backs doing work. Go watch some great receiving. And if you see a gravestone of Jackie Smith, tell them it's not your fault. It's not your fault. We're hurting the same way as you. And then go watch some great defense. Defense was on display, of course. Just go watch this game. Just go watch this game. It is the most incredible, highly contested game between 2 great teams of this era that we ever seen. And you will be remiss to know that no Super Bowl will ever have this kind of star power ever again. So that concludes all of that. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we see you all tomorrow for Super Bowl 14.